On today's lesson, I'm going to share a few simple cues for you to get hot with your forehand in your next singles match. So let's get started. So we all want our forehand to be a weapon that shows up consistently day to day. And in this lesson, I'm going to share a bunch of the tips that have worked for me and my players over the years. And so the most important thing is your footwork. And when I say footwork, I mean a couple things. First and most importantly is the timing that you create with your footwork. So my opponent on the other side of the net is going to give me different speed, different height, different spin. They're going to move me to different positions of the court. Every single shot I receive is going to be different. But if I want to get hot with my forehand, I need to make those different shots feel the same. And the number one way I can do that is with the rhythm of my footwork. So if I had my ideal setup, the ball would come to me, I would shuffle a little bit, step and hit. Every single time I would want that footwork. If someone hit fast to me or in the corner, I would shuffle, load, and hit. But the timing of loading or stepping and hitting, I want that to be the same every time. So one thing that I see trips amateurs up is sometimes they step a little early and have a weird pause before they hit. Sometimes they're moving and it happens so fast they never even get a step in. And so my job with my footwork is to try to create the same timing going into every shot. The second thing I want to do with my legs is make sure I get the ball in the ideal strike zone for my specific swing. So for some of you out there with a more extreme grip, you might actually like the ball a little higher. I have somewhere between an Eastern and a semi-Western, and so I like the ball just below my waist. And so when my opponent is giving me shots, what I want to do is I want to either move up or back so that I am always getting the ball in my preferred strike zone, which is just below my waist. Typically, you're going to want to take those balls on the rise. Sometimes when someone hits a very high, slow, deep ball, you might need to back up way behind the baseline, let the ball drive where you like it, and then you can make your swing. The third thing with your footwork that's super important is getting low with your legs. So if we're going to hit big, consistent forehands, we need topspin, and we need to get below the ball. So if you're standing straight up here and you take your racket back, you're probably going to be above the ball, swinging down or swinging flat, which will lead to inconsistency. So we want to just get below with our legs. We can sit and lift, and we can rip the ball. But if you want to be very consistent and aggressive with your forehand, we need awesome footwork and legs. The second thing we're going to want to do if we want to catch fire is we want to pick an intermediate target. So one of the biggest killers of any forehand, whether your technique is awesome or horrible, is tension. And a lot of times when people get obsessed with making balls or where the ball is going to go, they get tense, and that is a stroke killer. So one of my best recommendations is that you pick a spot somewhere over the net in line with your target, and you try to aim through that circle. Okay, you pick a part of the court where you go, I know it's high enough to get over the net. I also know width-wise, I'm not risking anything, and you aim for the intermediate target. What I have found and my players have found is that really relaxes them so they can stay loose. We want to be swinging about 70 to 90% on our forehands. And what I've found is when people actually swing 100% and try to kill it, they actually hit slower. Not only do they miss more, but muscling up makes the ball go slower. And so when you have a nice relaxed hand, you're thinking 70 to 90%, and you relax and swing, not only do you get good racket speed, but you'll also find it's actually much easier to hit that intermediate target, right? It's closer to you. It's only 39 feet away instead of 80 feet away. So I would pick that intermediate target, light grip pressure, make sure you're swinging 70, 90%, and that will also help you catch fire. And my last piece of advice is to have very good shot selection. You want to warm up slowly. So if you watch Steph Curry, the greatest three-point shooter of all time, when you watch him warm up at an NBA game, he starts with layups, then 6-footers, then 8-footers, and then he makes his way back to the three-point line. He likes to see the ball go through the hoop over and over. He's creating rhythm. He's creating confidence. When he starts an NBA game, typically players work their way into the game. They don't start their game with the first shot being a very difficult, complicated shot. There's usually a confidence builder. And I want you to have that same mindset when you are hitting your forehand in a match. So I'm not going to come out on the first, second serve return and hit it 100 miles an hour. I'm probably going to try a safe, simple target, see that ball go in the court, and build my confidence. Now, once I get into the match, if I get that ball into my strike zone, like I spoke about, just below my waist right here, I'm going to give myself the green light to pull that trigger. But if the ball is a little high, if I'm stretched, if I'm off balance, if I'm in a weird part of the court, I'm just going to hit a high heavy to the smart part of the court. And even though I'm not being aggressive with that ball, the fact that I'm just making forehands over and over again will build my confidence, keep me relaxed, will keep the grip pressure loose, and I'll be able to make a ton of forehands. So now I'm going to show you just a little part of a lesson. I have a senior in high school here. He's got a pretty good forehand. We're going to start all the way at the beginning from the hand toss, going to the feed, and then hopefully live ball. And I'm going to try to demonstrate these things in action so you can see how he gets hot with his forehand throughout the day. All right, so let's take a look at Alex. This is before his 1 o'clock practice. I'm just warming him up. And of course, we are just focusing on the timing and the rhythm of the feet. So you can see he's stepping in, swinging his back leg around, and then recovering with the same steps every time. It's like a little dance. So number one focus right now was to create rhythm with the feet. The second thing, obviously, is getting that ball in the strike zone, which should not be difficult because I'm hand tossing him a ball. Objectively, I try to make it easy to start because we are trying to build confidence. And then the third focus for him right now is just that 70 to 90% effort. He's trying to be very relaxed with his upper body, very relaxed with his grip pressure. So he's doing all three of those things. Timing with the footwork, getting the ball in position, and being super relaxed. He's just building confidence, setting the table for his day on these first 20 to 30 forehands so that he's nice and relaxed when he actually wants to start gassing it up later in the full practice. So the next thing we do is we're going to put up that intermediate target I spoke about, and instead of making him visualize it, I'm just going to put a squeegee in the net, which the top of that squeegee is probably about 2 feet over the net, which is a little bit low, but since he's inside the baseline, that's not a problem. And now he's trying to hit that intermediate target. And so he still has the same focus with his footwork, same focus with his ball position. He's still trying to be relaxed, but now we've got that intermediate target as our last focus. And you can see how he's kind of all over it now. Once you give yourself a visual to hit at on the halfway point, I think you will be stunned how close you can get to that target. On round 2 here, I told him to gas it up, hit a little bit faster. So, absolutely crushed that one. But he's stepping in, same footwork, same ball position, and even though he's hitting faster, he still has the focus of being relaxed. That's really, really important. You can tell he's not muscling up, but he's absolutely stepping in and crushing the ball right here. Now we've upgraded to a real feed, and again, I'm trying to feed right to him if possible, but when I'm on the other side of the net, my feeds will have slightly different speed. I might feed it accidentally a little shorter. And so it's just a small upgrade where he's going to have to create that rhythm and timing with his feet and that ball position on his own. But he still has the intermediate target. He's still being relaxed. Even though we're about 50, 60 balls into this practice session now, it's not like he starts gripping harder and trying to hit harder. He's still focusing on the three things that we spoke about earlier. On this set, I'm trying to go a little bit more all over the place. You can see I'm accidentally still feeding it pretty much right to him. But I do end up mixing speeds and height. And again, this is just one more level up that he has to create the timing on his own. So you can see on this slow ball, I actually think he's a little bit early with his step. And that one right there, he's a little bit close to the ball. So you can already tell when I start mixing it up and when we go to live ball hitting here in a second, that it's going to be a little more difficult. And right there, he's already reaching on the first feed, which I had to remind him, we're keeping the same tempo, the same timing, and we're trying to get the ball in that strike zone. Right here, he's actually fading to his left and almost a little backwards. So he's missed one ball, and one ball was kind of a shank. And so again, as we get going here, you can see he really focuses on that timing, creating the rhythm. That was a great forehand right there. But this is how you should be starting your days. You know, if you got to warm up before a match, we don't just come out and hit aimlessly. We have a very specific focus. He's trying to step in when he can right there. That's a great open stance. Create the timing with your feet, hitting that ball in the strike zone. And again, of course, I hit the pull there on accident. Couldn't do it if I was trying. But we're trying to create that rhythm, trying to create that confidence. So when he wants to gas it up and when he gets to the match, he goes, man, I've already made 150 forehands. I've missed 0 in the net. I've hit that tiny little pole a couple times. I mean, this guy thinks his forehand is superhuman right now. And yes, this is a very closed environment. I'm giving him very friendly balls to hit off of. But he's developing a great habit. And I have full confidence that when he goes into practice today and his opponents are hitting balls all over the place and mixing up space and mixing up time and mixing up spins, that he's going to be able to create his own rhythm and have a great day with his forehand. So keep these few things in mind. moving our feet, getting the ball in the strike zone 70-90% with the swing effort, and you too can get hot with your forehand, take it consistently from match to match, and dominate people with a nice aggressive stroke.